experts, give our ideas on a topic, and then we rank them either in a good ideas pile, the bad ideas pile, or the mediocre pile, or ideas pile, whatever you want. So why don't we do some intros? Starting with the one, the only, the convicted psychopath herself, Kate.
You don't have evidence to prove that.
The Rhode Island police would say otherwise.
We weren't supposed to talk about that.
It's on public record. There's a mugshot to prove it.
I was having a bad hair day that day, just to say.
Yeah, sure. Now, she doesn't need a ticket to ride because she's got a bicycle to use instead. We got Ajax.
She's got a ticket to ride. She's got a ticket to ride. Hi.
Thank you so much for that musical rendition, Ajax. And me, the mascot for the Tour de France himself, Alex.
What is that mascot? Is it a bike?
Is
it?
I just stand on the corner of during the ride and go, I just wave.
Oh, yeah.
What
Are
is
you
this in
mascot?
a France suit?
What do you mean?
Like, are you in
A flag?
not even a flag, but like, is there a cutout of the country of France and you're
No.
wearing that suit?
No. Actually, apparently, it's a lion. Weird looking lion from
Are
looks
you
of it.
dressed as a lion?
I don't know.
Are you dressed as the cowardly lion?
No, the name is Maxo.
I like the
Is
name.
the mascot for the Tour de France.
The name is good.
Well, actually, that's wrong. Maxo is the mascot of Credit Leon, which is the financial manager and main sponsor of the Tour de France. So it is actually not the mascot of the Tour de France.
Just
so
the
me
sponsor.
sitting on the corner with my glass of wine, cheering on the bikers. That's why I'm the mascot.
Like, how do you have to dress for this? I got to be in a suit?
Yeah, just t-shirt, jeans.
Are you in a
Very
biker
American.
outfit?
Yes.
Are you dressed up as a wrong type of biker?
Just myself.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I be myself? Don't people love me for who I am?
That sounded like a plead for help. Like, don't people love me for who I am?
Notice it a plead for help. I know people don't love me for who I am.
Let's say, notice me and Ajax didn't say anything in response to that.
Exactly.
We just glazed right over that.
Because you agreed.
Well, I mean, did I shake my head? Yes.
We're pleading the fifth.
Well, anywho, what is today's topic?
Bike accessories.
Oh, it's accessories? I just did ideas for bicycles.
Nope, it's bike accessories.
Too late. I have ideas for bicycles.
All right, so all of Ajax's ideas are already in the bad ideas pile.
Wow. Why is this becoming a rank? This was in a text, by the way, so there is literally nothing that you can say that I was like, oh, I misheard. It was in a text.
Well, I wonder if, I guess, you know what? This will just knock down my ideas, but I have some accessories.
She's like, I have one idea this week. We could put Ajax in the corner, stare at her, distinctly state what the idea is for the week, put it in writing, send text, send a carrier pigeon, smoke signals, skywriter, and
I'll still get it wrong.
somehow she still has one idea, at least, that has nothing to do with the topic.
Accurate.
It keeps it interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, so who knows what ideas will be good today.
So listeners, if there's ever a topic we're covering and you're like, I don't really want to listen to that episode, you should just listen to it just to see what Ajax pulls out of her ass.
Especially, and one of these days we're going to have a day where she just has a completely different topic than the rest of us.
And like a completely different assignment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're going to talk about tea biscuits, and she's going to be talking about a new species of dinosaurs.
Or scones.
That's at least in the ballpark.
Of dinosaur fossils.
Yeah, you can find
I'm at the
scones.
ballpark of bicycles. Jeez. Okay.
You are. You're in the right church. Just the wrong.
Ballpark.
Yeah.
Well, this is France, so we're not doing anything in ballparks here.
We're
Are
doing
there no
things
ballparks
in
in France?
cricket courts.
No, football.
Soccer. Oops,
Football.
football. You're right.
Football.
What other
Football.
French sports are there?
Rugby.
Competitive baguette spinning,
Tennis.
golf, I guess.
Is Wimbledon in France?
Well, Wimbledon is not in France.
No, Great
But-
Britain.
That's in Great
Ah.
Britain, but tennis is a big sport in France. It's
Hmm.
one of the most popular ones.
How about handball?
Yes, actually,
Racquetball?
that is as well.
Welcome to Ideas All Day, where Kate lists all the sports in France.
Possibly,
Fencing?
Mhm.
but with question mark at the end because we're not quite sure.
And strangely enough, basketball.
Basketball is a big global sport now.
Mhm.
20 years ago, not so much, but it has picked up in its popularity.
Agreed.
But yeah, so getting away from sports in France, I should probably do my ideas. So my first idea is a safety accessory that I kind of stole from last year's Halloween episode, the God Bubble. So instead of being a fully encompassing God Bubble, did you ever see the people running around wearing the bubble suits against the bowls? And the bowls like will fling these people about 10 to 20 feet in the air, and they just land and get up and start running away again. So that kind of made me think like, hey, if a bull can charge into a human wearing one of these bubble suits and the human survives, then maybe this would happen in a car accident. You can't wear the bubble suit and ride a bike. So I was thinking to do a modified version where you had like a ring that went around your neck. So when you fall off your bike, like the biggest like concern is smacking your head against the concrete or the cement or something. So this ring would prevent your head from hitting the ground, so to speak. And then like another ring like around your chest, and then another one around your hips, but like high on the hip so that you can cycle and steer. So that's idea number one. Idea number two, I like bicycling, but I can't do it for long periods of time because it hurts my butt. Like I just can't get used to the butt, the seat, the bicycle seat. So I was thinking of a modified bike seat where your weight isn't on your butt, but instead it's like two half pipes and your thighs rest there, and all of your weight is on your thigh instead of on your thighs instead of your butt, but you can still pedal. And then maybe it's like angled in a way that's more aerodynamic with how you sit on a bike. So that's idea number two. Idea number three. So trying to get inspiration for this episode, I was checking out Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. You want to talk about bike accessories? That man has all the bike accessories. And one of the things that caught my attention is that you don't see so much anymore. You don't see like ribbon tassels coming out of the handlebars anymore. So I had an idea, kind of bring them back. It'll be kind of cool if you can get light up ribbon tassel handles. I don't know if it's LEDs or what kind of wiring you would put in there, but little glowy, festive tassels out of your bike handles. So that was idea number three. Idea number four, I kind of want to have a pet carrier that can be one, comfortable for the pet, and two, is fully enclosed. When I think of pet carriers, I think of like Wizard of Oz and Dorothy and Toto. If I'm taking my cat for a bike ride, I don't want the cat to be able to just jump out and chase a squirrel or just jump out and hop on me and kill us both. So I kind of like the pet carrier being in the front. There are school bags you can have cats go in, that it's like a clear bubble and they can see out of the bubble. And I kind of want something similar for the front of the bike. You can put your cat and it can see. So like you're going for a bike ride and you can see everything. But if the bike falls over, the cat's not flying off the handlebars and into the street, so to speak. So then for my last idea, bike security. There's, once again, going back to Pee Wee's Big Adventure. If you haven't seen the movie, basically Pee Wee has this bike. The bike is stolen, and it's his adventure in getting his bike back. He takes his bike into town, and there's all these other bikes, and he doesn't want to park his bike next to the other bikes because he wants his bike super secure. So he parks it next to this mechanical clown, and he pulls out all this chain, and he chains up his bike against this mechanical clown, and then goes to a store just along the way. While he's in the store, unbeknownst to Pee Wee, and spoiler alert, his bike gets stolen. So my idea
Wait,
is,
were the chains stolen too?
no, they were broken.
They left the chains behind because
They
chains
left
can be
a
useful.
lot of the chain behind. It was a
They
lot
should
of
have taken the
chain. It basically covered the entire bike and a good portion of the clown, but like that was Pee Wee's mistake. Is he should have wrapped more chain around the clown and not necessarily around the bike, because the bad guys just had to cut like 3 links of the chain to get his bike out instead of having to cut a lot of links.
More links, got it.
So my 5th idea is to have a bike car alarm. Not only will the alarm make a lot of noises, I wanted to also spray that ink that is in banks with the money. In the movies, when they steal money, the teller throws in an ink pack. I want that kind of ink pack too. So like you can obviously tell, yeah, that person was into something they weren't supposed to be into. And they'll make,
or they're a painter.
Or they're a painter. Better leave that guy alone. He's a painter. I mean, if Pee Wee had this, he would have heard the alarm go off while he was in the store and been able to run out and then identify who was trying to steal his bike with all the paint on them. So those are my 5 ideas for bike accessories. Alex, why don't you pile my ideas?
You got it, Kate. But for your first idea of your god neck bubble ring hip ring rings, I'll be honest, I have no idea what the hell this is supposed to. I mean, I have an idea what it's supposed to be, but it was confusing as all get out. I just imagine this person wearing like pool flotation devices down the street, just bicycling along. And, you know, sometimes you already have to have bicyclists are kind of getting ridiculed a little bit, but not that much. This person will get ridiculed so bad, and I feel bad for them. I was like, this is terrible. This is so bad. But I'm not going to put in the bad ideas pile because it's safety oriented. So it's going to go ideas going towards bad because I'm all about the safety. For your second idea, your thigh pipe seat, I think is how you kind of put it along.
Yeah, like if you cut a pipe in half, there's those 2 semi.
Yeah, thigh pipe.
Yeah, but like half pipes.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Pipes. They're not just, they're not full pipes.
Yeah.
They're not fully encased.
Was there a pipe?
A pipe cut in half.
Thigh pipe.
A half pipe.
Yeah,
for
so you
each
pipe
thigh.
cut in half to lay your thighs in while you ride.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, this is a terrible idea, and I'm not trying to be mean about it either. This is a terrible idea because one, your legs are your thighs while you're bicycling going up and down, up and down. So you're constantly, you can't like just sit down like you can with a normal seat with the thing that is literally made for sitting down with. Your legs are constantly going to be hitting to the seat and you can't sit down because there's literally nothing there. So this is a bad idea. Like, I understand where you're coming from. Logically, I understand. I really, really do. But realistically, no. This is a big old fat no for me.
That's fine. I accept that.
Yeah. Number 3, bringing back the tassels, right?
Light up tassels.
Light up tassels. Okay. Well, how do they light up? I didn't catch that part.
I would say like a battery pack inside the handle. There's usually a hollow point in the bicycle handlebar.
I actually thought about this one just to get you to put in how to do it. They
Yeah.
have fiber optics because I have this
Yes.
weed whip with a, long plastic strands that has a LED inside of a flashlight type object. And they glow up. The strands glow. So
Yeah,
fiber
that's fine.
optics
That's what I was
can be
thinking.
done
Of,
with.
fiber up.
Yeah, that's no problem. That's no problem. I mean, I'm going to put this in the ideas file because it's not an original idea. It already kind of existed at one point. It's just a little bit of a different one. But it's not a
Improving
bad
it.
idea. It's definitely not a bad idea, but I'm not in love with it. It doesn't bring me joy.
We
So,
all know how much you love tassels, Alex. So
Exactly.
I'm
They're just
surprised
not
by
in
this
my bike.
filing.
not on my bike. On my nipples, sure, but not on my bike handles. So your fourth idea, your second bubble idea of your cat bubble carrier container. I'm going to put this in the good ideas pile because your cat deserves a safe ride. I mean, I'm a little concerned if something happens and you fall over on the bike because he has nowhere to go. But I would hope there's a little bit, maybe an additional bubble on the inside and out, and then you got to worry about air. But there's ways around that. Like that's doable. I don't know how the cat would deal with it, especially if he's not declawed. Because, but the concept is there, and I appreciate it, and it's safe for your cat. And for your last idea, the bike alarm, it's a good idea. Straight up good idea. Security minded, preventing theft, just like a car alarm does. Nothing wrong with this one. I mean, I'd be concerned about activation or ways to activate it, but that's a doable thing. That is very doable. So good idea for me.
Thanks, Alex.
So, Kate, it's my turn to pile your ideas.
Yes, Ajax, please do.
Okay, so your first idea of the God Bubble suit with the modified ring around your neck and the one around your chest and the one around your hips. So this is 3 inner tubes that are going to be around you while you're riding your bike. I can just imagine myself just getting really, really hot in this suit and sweating in my chest and around my neck and around my hips. So I'm a really sweaty bike rider as it is, because I know this because I bike never, but I'm assuming that I'm really sweaty. So I would at least need some air holes in my inner tubes, which I think that would deflate them. So that might be really hard to modify this structure to fit my needs.
It could be like a honeycomb inflatable. So there's holes, but it still has like a structure. But on the flip side, I don't know how effective that would be.
Yeah, I don't know. And also, I could just see myself riding on this bike and then Alex driving by me and then pointing and laughing the whole entire time.
100%.
And then he gets distracted and then he runs into you, but then you're safe because you're wearing and then I get
airbags. To charge him. I get to
charge him for manslaughter,
for trying to run me over because I was wearing my God bubble.
For attempted murder.
Right now, since it's still in the idea stage, I'm going to put this in the ideas leaning towards bad, just because I can't foresee myself actually wearing this. Like, I'm going to go ride my bike today. But I do have to agree with Alex that safety first. So this is not a direct bad ideas pile. Ideas leaning towards bad. For your second idea of the modified bike seat with the 2 half pipes, so you can have your weight on the thighs, angled for aerodynamics. And we've now considered these thigh pipes, which I really like the name thigh pipes. I think that's great.
They're not thigh pipes because they're not encasing your thigh.
But they could encase your thigh if you put your thigh in and then latched it from the outside. So then your thighs are in there, which might help with the seat. So, okay, if you just want thigh pipes, this is automatically going in the bad ideas pile, because like Alex said, because your thighs are going to be lifting, so that leaves the seat not an option. What I was thinking is that you can have the thigh pipes, well, now with them encased in your thighs, thigh encasings that move with your legs. So then you can have this contraption with your legs moving. I would put that in the ideas pile. So they move with your pedaling, because you have to move your thighs to pedal, I think. Bicyclists, please let us know if you have to move your thighs to pedal. For right now, it's going in the bad ideas pile.
That's fine. I accept that.
For your third idea of your tassels, this is automatically going in the good ideas pile, because who doesn't like tassels? You can have tassels on your bike. You can have tassels on your butt. You can have tassels on your nips. You can have tassels anywhere. And
Tassels
having
on
the
your tassels.
tassels on tassel action. And I love it how they light up too. And I think with fiber optics, you can really make them look really cool. So yes, good ideas pile for tassels. For the pet carrier with the God bubble for cats, I thought this, I mean, I really like the idea of a pet carrier because I would like to take Pablo, who is my guinea pig, on journeys. And I'm sure he would like to see the outside world safely. Do you think that these animals would like to wear your God bubble suits?
Well, just to clarify, they're not like the inflatable God bubbles. These are like hard plastic. So it's not, yeah.
Even worse.
But
So
hard
how do you
plastic.
protect the pets while they're in the hard
Well,
plastic
that's the
encasing?
thing. It's a hard plastic. So if there's any falls or anything, they're not going to go flying anywhere and won't get deflated by any kind of punctures.
No, I think this is a good idea to have something to carry your pet. Yeah. For bike security, a bike car alarm, I think that the only problem with that is I might not hear it if it's going off. So I wouldn't know to save my bike. So I would need to have like some sort of
But it would deter
device.
It would deter the person
Deter
who's
the person.
trying to steal your bike. And it
Okay,
would
so-
alert people around you that someone's trying to steal your bike.
All right. Well, I think this is a good idea. And I have some additions to have to your alarm if there's ever any options available. I would like to add some super glue to this because I think that would be fun if it was just like sprayed out, and also a glitter bomb.
I would like,
Because
well, yeah,
doesn't
no one
like
likes
glitter
glitter bombs. I would like the alarm to have Sigourney Weaver saying, get away from her, you bitch, just over and over again. I think that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, but the glitter that has to be used is biodegradable glitter because
Yes,
I don't want to
definitely.
have little plastic particles into the ocean.
No, I
So yeah,
agree.
good idea pile. So those are my pilings.
Thanks, Ajax.
You're welcome, Kate.
Alex, why don't you grace us with your ideas?
All right. So for my first idea, this is kind of touches a little bit on Kate's idea, but expanding on it in a way that isn't ridiculous sounding. And that is to have airbags for your bicycle. And I mean, in case you do get into a collision or a potential collision, it would be things that actually attach to the frame of the bike itself. That in the event of a potential collision, which would have sensors in the items itself, the sides open up and an inflation would happen during the collision, similar to the way it does during a car accident, that either would protect the sides and the front or even cover the individual biking as well, at least the core part of them. So I'm saying, number one, deployable airbags that aren't on you the entire time so you look like some weirdo. Number two, and I think this one is something that anyone who rides a bike or does anything with on wheels will understand. And I don't know how many times I've wanted to go for a bike ride somewhere, and I take my bike out, get ready, and then going, shit, I can't fit my unicycle on this, can I? And I'm forced to leave it at home. So what I'm proposing is a coupling device, so it couples the back end right under the seat, has a bar that goes back and attaches to your unicycle. So that way, you almost have a three-wheeled bicycle. So that way, when you get to your destination, you're ready for some unicycling action instead of having to leave it at home, like unfortunately happens to a lot of distance unicyclists. Number two, this is more of a safety thing. As we all know, most bikes come with some sort of reflector, or they have flashing lights and things like that, but they're always on the front and the back. But that's not the only places people can see you, and sometimes there's only a small amount of them. So what I'm proposing is actual plastic additional attachments that go onto the frame of the bike that are reflectors on top of it. So you can have an entire frame, basically attachments on the frame of the bike that are reflectors. So it doesn't matter which direction the car at night's coming from, it's going to be able to hit those reflectors and they'll be able to see you. And pretty brightly too, I might add. It's not like a little spot that you wonder what the heck that is. It should be pretty, clear. For my fourth idea, also strangely enough, very similar to one of Kate's ideas, but in a different fashion. It is similar to her cat bubble, but not with cats. Why don't we have a carrier for our fish? I mean, there are carriers out there for animals to be either tagged along on the back or on a little thing on the top. But why not for the fish? The fish deserves to get out and see some sun once in a while, get some fresh water air. Why not? Why not have a little thing for your fish to be in and come along for the ride? So your best friend, who is obviously would be a fish, can come along and enjoy the ride. So you can feel the fresh wind on his gills. And number 5 is very much just like bacon. No matter what you add it to, it always makes things better. Because bacon will always make any food better, including bacon. So what makes anything better that's not a food item? Rockets. So rockets on your bike. Because guess what you can attach rockets to? Other rockets. Attachable rockets. Number 6. As we all know, sometimes being on the trail or being out on the road on your bike can be sometimes a little, if you don't have a partner or a friend that wants to go bike with, it could be a little lonely. It could be a little solitary, especially when you're riding a 2-person bike. It looks kind of sad. So what I'm saying is when you're out riding your 2-person bike and you're alone, why not have a little item instead replaces the seat on the second hand that becomes an inflatable passenger? So you always look like you've got a friend along for the ride. And last, but certainly not least, is, as most people who are riding know, sometimes you attract the wrong sort of bikers, the wrong sort of people behind you. And you can only go so fast on a bike. I mean, it's not a car, it's not motorized, it's only going to go as fast as your feet and the gears can let you. So what I propose, if you have a situation where you got people or cars or vehicles chasing you, you got to have your deployable tack shooter. So it deploys tacks behind you, very similar to the old like 007s. So that way you can evade your pursuers, including the IRS, because they always will chase people down in their cars. We all know this is true. Don't let the media tell you otherwise. And those are my ideas.
Thanks, Alex, for those ideas.
For those ideas, quotation marks.
Ideas. Ajax, why don't you run these down real quick?
Aye, Captain. All right. So for your first idea, airbags for your bicycle that attach to the frame of the bike itself and inflate open upon during a collision. I've only had airbags inflate on me once. And I remember when that happened, they actually burned my hands when they happened. Mm-hmm. They left like burn marks on my hands from whatever is the substance that explodes on the point.
Yeah. It's an explosive charge.
It's an explosive charge. So since I feel like I understand what you're going for here, my concern is that the airbags will cause more injury in their inflation stage or even propel you off of your bicycle if they, explode too hard and they push you off your bicycle even harder in a wrong direction if they go off, and it could be a dangerous situation.
Not quite sure how you see these airbags pointed, but
are they pointed at your face or are they pointed at the sides?
No, usually they're like, because a lot of times what they'll do with some of the types of airbags is they shape the airbags so when they deploy, they actually go a certain way. So it's not like a big balloon that's floating up in front of you. You could have an odd-shaped airbag. So you could have something that opens up and to the side.
Okay, so it's to the side, so you bounce off of it. So you fall onto it.
Even having something, you could have something on the handlebar that's in front of you, which would be a pretty nasty direct one, but if it means hitting a car or hitting the airbag, which is more preferable?
Okay, so
you can't necessarily escape injury. You're trying to preserve life and minimize injury.
Okay, I'm sort of catching what you're throwing.
Over. This is someone's hitting you with a car or a nasty collision.
Okay, so for right now, based on the design that I'm foreseeing in my head, I'm going to put this in the ideas pile because I like how you're going for safety, but I'm not quite sure of the execution of this airbag system. We need some crash test dummies to make sure
Correct.
that this is going to be
Of
a
course.
viable option.
This
So
is not something. This is again. We're on the ideas side. We're not in the testing phase.
very true. So I'm still putting this. I'm going to put this in the ideas pile.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so for your second idea of a coupling device that attaches to your unicycle,
Mhm.
and the unicycle attaches to your bike, so there's 3 wheels.
Essentially,
Like
yes.
essentially. I mean, it'd be kind of cool if you could use that third wheel to make it a tricycle. So
Yeah,
It
but
could be
that,
an
that would
option.
take a lot more engineering and a specialty bike too if you're going to do that.
that's true. So, but I mean, I am a big fan of unicycling. So I've been wanting to take my unicycle places. So I think I'm going to put this in the good ideas pile because I want to be out there and I want to be unicycling my heart out.
As you should.
I do. I want to. And also this is kind of similar to one of my ideas. So I feel like it's definitely going to be going there into the good ideas pile. All right. So for your third idea of that the whole bike has
Yeah.
got reflectors all over it.
Well, they're attached to the frame.
Attached to the frame. Are they
Yeah.
facing in one direction or
No,
all
they should
directions?
be facing both. With like
Both
the way it would be
directions.
designed is you have where the clips that go onto the frame aren't like hitting into each other. They're like offset a little bit. So you should be able to have reflectors on both sides of the frame coupling onto a single pipe of the frame.
Okay. I like this idea. I'm going to put this in the good idea pile because safety, and also you get to see the bike and all parts of the bike. So you're not just looking at like one flashing light as you're driving by a cyclist or a unicyclist on the streets. Another idea that because I sort of this kind of popped into my head as well when I was thinking about ideas, and I was thinking like vinyl, that you can have a vinyl coating on the bike itself as a reflector. So that might be another option, but I want to put this in the good ideas pile because safety first, be seen, be safe.
Damn right.
For your fourth idea of the fish bubble or the fish god bubble, I mean, don't all fishes want to have a god bubble too? I like this idea, but I feel like there's a few things that I'm not quite sure. How adequate is the air to oxygen, the air to water exchange? Like, is the fish going to get enough air? Is the water going to be held within? How is the water going to be held
Well, you
within
got to think of it this way.
the bubble?
Well, usually with that, if it's a temporary thing, you're not putting an aerator in. I mean, we're not going on a 3-day bike ride here that you're going to take your fish on. This is typically probably for a few hours, maybe, and then you're done. And most people, if you don't need a bubbler for a short period of time. It's like when you clean the tank, you don't put a bubbler in the temporary tank. You put it in your main one. So there should be enough air in the water, especially when you added new ones in there. You're already agitating and adding oxygen to it to begin with. So really, this isn't meant to be a permanent habitat. This is a temporary, vehicle for the fish while the bike ride's going, but then to be transferred back into their normal tank afterwards.
Okay. All right. For right now, I'm going to put this into the ideas pile just because I never had a fish and I really don't know how the fish think, and I don't know how easy it's going to get the fish. And if I had the large fish, I would need a really large size fish carrier. And if my fish was super big, it might take up like my whole bike. So it might not be logistically possible. And
then you might have to go for the pull along ones, kind of like the kid carriers that go behind the bikes.
It's a lot of water that you're also
carrying
around
those
too.
Kid carriers, by the way, scariest freaking thing I've ever been on. I still remember being a child and on the back of one of those. It's a weird experience because God forbid if my parents ever got into an accident with me on that thing, I would have been toast.
God forbid. I'm glad that you weren't toast.
And I mean the old school kid carrier where it was like a seat that would be like attached to like the fender part of the bike, not like
I'm talking about the Tolo ones.
No, not the Tolo.
You're talking the plastic seat.
Yes,
that's on behind the regular seat. Yeah.
Those things were. What were we thinking?
That was a death trap.
Oh yeah, those things are terrifying looking.
Oh, I still remember being 5 and being in one of those things. It's insane.
Trauma.
Yep.
So fish bubble, I'm going to still put it in the ideas pile because if if my large fish, I don't feel like filling up a whole bubble just to take my fish for a ride. It's a lot of water. It's a lot.
You are
It's very
very-
heavy.
Very.
That's like what, 8 pounds per gallon of water. What if
Wouldn't
my
you do that
bike
for your
flips
love,
back
the love
over?
of your life fish?
No. Plus, I don't think my fish would like me handling it to get it into its fish bubble.
You know, it gets used to it.
That's what you say. I don't
Mhm.
believe you.
We've talked.
So your fifth idea of attachable rockets. Okay, if this was attachable bacon, that would have gone directly into the good ideas pile. But attachable rockets, I can just see myself attaching them wrong. And instead of shooting them into outer space, they'd be shooting me into a stationary object. So for that idea, bad ideas pile for attachable rockets.
So basically, your user error makes it a bad idea.
Yes, because I need to have it foolproof. Exactly. So for your sixth idea, the inflatable passenger, I put this on automatic good ideas pile because you always have a friend with you, and I would like mine to sing to me while I
And
was
it would
riding
say,
my bike.
"You've got a friend to be."
Or it could be like
Legally distinct version of song. So we
And then-
don't get copy struck. They DMCA'd.
exactly. That's the song that would be playing.
Yes, exactly.
And I feel like I would like to also have my passenger to do the princess wave.
Ooh, the queen
as
wave.
well.
Ooh, nice.
Yes, to wave at
Could it be
all the
Of
passengers.
the queen
driving by.
herself? Could it be an inflatable version of the queen herself?
I mean, if we're allowed to do that, yeah.
Why not? Why can't you? This is America. We can have the queen on anything we want. She's not the queen of us.
If we're not careful, she might try to be the queen of us again.
I know, but this might be her way in.
Yeah, be like, listen, those Americans,
Oh,
they had it good for so long, and then they started putting me on the back of their bicycles. So now we
Shit's
strike
getting
at
real.
dawn.
Yeah.
strike at
She's
dawn.
got nothing left to lose now.
Not at all. So yeah, good ideas pile. For number 7, your deployable tack shooter. I actually really don't know what this is.
What do you mean?
What's a tack shooter?
So you know what tacks are, right?
Like thumbtacks.
Yes.
Okay.
So you have them deploy out the back, so to avoid and just to get rid of would-be pursuers.
Oh, so like if you're in Mario Kart and that's the banana peel.
Yes, essentially.
Oh, wait. But then the attachable rockets are the bullet, but the bullet you turn into the bullet. Okay, so if you
Yes.
turned into the rocket, then I feel like that would have been a good idea, but I
That's
still
not
stand for
possible.
that one. But the deployable tack shooter for that given situation, I feel like that is a good idea
Yes.
because especially if they're pursuing on bike. Yeah.
I'm taking it. It's already
Yeah.
done.
I'm still thinking about it. I'm like, yes, there's nothing
Nope.
what
It's
whatsoever.
exactly.
But the
It's
problem is the
perfect.
cleanup. I
Well,
get to go back and
that's
clean it
not
up.
the point. The point is,
I mean,
you
I'm
need to
down
get
for
away from
cleaning
it.
up. I understand that I'm gonna have to clean this up after I spill them, but
Sure.
that's going to stop them pursuing me. So then I can come back because they're disabled. Because then I can come back and then deal with the situation and then clean up the tax. I accept that responsibility.
I will accept your grading of my idea.
Thank you. And those are my pilings.
What about you, Kate?
All right. So for your first idea, your airbags. I originally had this idea as well, but then I was thinking, well, if you're in an accident where your momentum is going over the handlebars, all the airbags in the world wouldn't save you because you would have to still be on the bike for the airbags to help. So then I was thinking, well, maybe I could do like an airbag suit that the airbags would deploy once it sensed the accident. But then it's like, well, that would be a lot of accidental accidents happening. Your suit's going to explode all the time. And that's how I got to my God bubble. But I'm going to put this in the ideas pile just because it is safety focus. I just don't, it needs an engineer.
Perfect the way it is. No engineering
Yeah.
needed.
No, it needs an engineer. Because as is, I don't feel like it would save any lives depending on
Well,
the accident.
I would assume that they're all wearing their seatbelt so that they wouldn't fly off the bike.
They have a seatbelt.
Every bike does. Have you not used it?
I
It's
must have.
underneath the seat itself.
Oh,
Have you not gone under
I don't
there
use
and
the
pulled out
seat.
the seatbelt?
That's why I don't use the seat. That's the first thing I take off the bike because
Yeah.
it hurts my butt.
And use
So
your thigh pipes. Yes, we get it.
no, I just stand the whole time. That's
Yeah, because the thigh pipe doesn't work.
well, no, because I haven't manufactured the thigh pipe yet. I'm working on that. Your unicycle coupler. I'm gonna put this in the ideas pile, leaning towards good, because this is like if you're in a relationship and you want to have like a cutesy wootsy bike ride and you want like the 2-person bike, this is like a way to do the 2-person bike. But if you're not sure about the relationship and you're not sure it's going to last, this is a good alternative. Like, okay, you know what? We're breaking up. You can have the unicycle half. I get the bike half, or I get the unicycle half. You get the bike half. It's a nice clean split. So yeah, I'm gonna put this in the ideas pile, leaning towards good.
I'll take it.
I could see some unicyclers appreciating this, and then I could see some purists kind of sticking their nose at it, thumbing their nose at it.
Well, I mean, if there's a purist that doesn't like riding a unicycle, why do they have it in the first place?
Well, they don't usually like riding attached to another bicycle. That kind of defeats the whole purpose of being like, look, Mom, no hands. Your multi-reflectors. I'm going to put this in the good ideas pile. However, there is a product out there that instead of putting a bunch of reflectors onto your bike, you can use this spray. And you can spray your entire bike. You can spray your clothing, and you look like freaking Casper the Ghost. It just blows up the light. So yeah, no, I like it. If you want like a more permanent reflector situation, then yes.
And no propellants.
Yes, and no propellants, and it'll last longer. Fish carrier, this is going right in the bad ideas pile. I just, from the perspective of the fish, I would feel like I would get motion sickness. Like I would feel very jostled.
Wouldn't they get seasick?
Well, like it's different being like in a sea than in a bowl on a bike. You know?
No.
Bad ideas pile. Attachable rockets. I'm gonna put this in the ideas pile, leaning towards bad. And the only reason it's not in the bad pile is
rockets are awesome.
Because it reminds me of Grand Theft Auto 3 when you have the tank and you just shoot behind you to get the tank really flying. And I could just imagine like if you have a straightaway and there's nothing in your way, you could probably get pretty fast with a rocket booster. Or if you wanted to go do a ramp, that would be kind of cool. Not gonna lie.
I'm sorry, but you just keep making it more. And here's my other question too. Who else used a rocket on their bike?
Evel Knievel.
Nope. You've
On
referenced them several times.
Oh, Pee Wee Herman.
Boom.
Also,
Point, set, match.
listeners,
I win.
if you had the chance, while I was researching Pee Wee Herman's bike, I found a video called Pee Wee Park. And someone by the name of Pixel Rocket on YouTube has basically replaced the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park with Pee Wee Herman. And it is delightful to say the least. So if you have the chance, Pixel Rocket, and it's called Pee Wee Park, just FYI. So yeah, rockets, ideas leaning towards bad. Inflatable passenger. Tell me that you're horribly lonely without telling me that you're horribly lonely. This is twice that you brought up inflatable passengers. It's sad. It's really sad. I'm going to put this in the bad ideas pile just because.
For no reason whatsoever.
If I have to drag an inflatable person around and I have a 2-seater bike or just a 1-seater bike?
It's a 2-seater.
No. Bad idea. That just
you'd rather just
screams.
ride your 2-seater by yourself? How
I'm not.
sad.
I'm gonna decouple.
How sad
I'm
you
gonna
are.
decouple the unicycle and just have the one-seater.
No, this isn't about the unicycle. The unicycle's not involved. That is
Well,
not a two-person bicycle.
that I'm not buying a
Two-person
two-person
bicycle has two
bicycle.
wheels. Unicycle attachment would have three.
Yeah, like a two-person bicycle.
The unicyclist wouldn't work if it was the inflatable person on the unicycle.
No,
They would just
no.
fall over.
Yes.
Exactly. These are two separate ideas for two separate
I
types of
know,
bikes.
but I'm saying
But
I'm
you're
not.
attaching one to the other.
I am not buying a two-person bike because I'm painfully single. Why would I put myself through that?
You
pain
could have
of-
inherited
of
it, and
looking
it's the only
back.
bike that you've got to get to
I
and from
don't.
work.
I don't. I have a bike that's a one-seater, which this keeps on pushing the memory of Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. I think it was the Caper one, the Great Caper, where they're doing a two-person bicycle, and it keeps on flashing in my mind. So if I'm having a two-person bicycle, it's going to be Kermit the Frog on there, not an inflatable passenger. Just
Well, you're telling me that Kermit can't be a passenger on your two-person bike?
he can. I'm not
Can
going to put
it be inflatable?
no.
Wow.
It's either Kermit or bust.
But he's not inflatable. He has to be like a full
Exactly.
blown out
This is
pup Muppet.
why the inflatable passenger is a bad idea, because I'm either bicycling with Kermit the Frog or I'm not.
Wow.
And then for your last idea, the tack shooter, this is going straight into the bad ideas pile.
Why?
As someone who has gotten so many flat tires because of road debris, screws, nails, other things, I would murder the cyclist that deployed a bunch of tacks and flattened my tires.
Who's
No,
trying to get away?
That's a little
They're
that's a
trying
little
to get
much.
away from pursuers. The IRS is coming to take their taxes.
That's their problem. Why are they deflating my tires?
Well, that's the thing. They're being pursued. They're in
No.
danger, and you
There-
want them to be in
There's
danger. You want
smoke
them to get caught up.
screens. There's oil slicks.
No,
There's other
Nope.
means of getting
smoke
rid of
screens
the
don't
IRS.
work. There's too much. There's too much
If you
wind.
watch Pee Wee Herman's Great Adventure, he uses both of those tactics quite successfully while invading the WB security force. I am
Shazam.
not. I've seen it with my own eyes.
In person.
Well, not in person. Those were my pilings. Thank you, Alex.
No, thank you, Kate, for giving your terrible explanations to why about your pilings of my ideas.
Ajax, why don't you grace us with your ideas?
My ideas for bicycles, accessories. All right. For my first idea, as the listeners might have gathered from the past episodes, I am a big fan of the sport pole dancing / pole fitness / dancing on a pole. I'm a big fan of it, and I wish I could do it anywhere and anytime. So my first idea is having an attachment to a bicycle, tricycle, and or motorized bicycle, either one of those, a movable pole. So they make these stage poles that are relatively large, but I would like to have mine on wheels. Got a platform at the base, and they've got a metal pole sticking up through the center of the circle because it's a circle platform base. So on some of these poles that are often called freestanding poles or stage poles, I would like to have a spin pole attachment on it too, just so you can go spinning while you're riding along. Somebody's pulling you with this attachment because you can't pull and ride the bike at the same time. So the reason why I would like to have it on a motorized bike is because it's a relatively heavy device, and that would be really hard to bike up a hill. So if there was a motorized attachment or electric bike that was pulling it, it would make it easier on the peddler or bikist themselves. But if they really want some good exercise, screw that, and then you can just have it attached to the bike itself. So yeah, for my first idea, it's a pole attachment to the bicycle, tricycle, or motorized bike. So for my second idea, most seats that I've ever sat on a bike are extremely uncomfortable. One of the seats I would like to have is shaped as a hand with 5 fingers. Sometimes if you have depending on the size of your tuchus, you might need 2 hands so they can be side by side. And also, I still want the fingers to be on the bike. It's on the bike seat itself. So the fingers are also positionable. So you can have your fingers in any such way that you could possibly want. They're mobile. You can move the fingers. So if you like your fingers in a certain way and they feel better in a certain way, then you can move them along. Also, along with this, I would like to have my fingers to have a motorized portion to them to give you a slight squeeze. Just give your hiney just squeeze. You know it's there. You know the seat's there, and it's holding you. It's holding your butt in place with a gentle squeeze. So hand seat is my second idea. So for my third idea is actually very similar to Alex's idea with the unicycle, because I also wanted to have a unicycle option for my bike. But this is not a separate contraption. I wanted my bike to turn into a unicycle and like my unicycle to be turned back into a bike. So there are a few things that I might need an engineer for this, especially because when you look at a bike, the pedals are in between the two wheels. And for a unicycle, the pedals are on the wheel itself. So in order to have the unicycle detachable from the bicycle, I was thinking that you detach the front section of the bike and have some pedals attachable to that wheel. So then you can have your unicycle. Now that gives you, if you don't have your, honey along, like in Kate's idea that, where you can separate the bike and the unicycle and they're both biking together, this leaves the extra parts from the bike. So I would like to have that foldable and being able to put into a backpack so you can actually carry your bike while you're unicycling. Again, the structure of this idea is a little unknown and the bits and pieces about how to shape shift the bike into the unicycle. One of the things I was also thinking was that you would remove the handlebars from the front wheel and then replace it with a seat. So that could be able, and then you'd have all these things that you can shove into the back in your backpack. So you can do both at the same, so you can carry your bike while you're unicycling. Again, I'm going to need an engineer for this, but it's in the ideas stage of the idea. So for my fourth idea, I've seen bicycles that can do laundry. They have a contraption, a frame around the bicycle, a frame that holds a water jug, some detergent jug in the front, and then a barrel on the back, which is turned by the moving of the wheel to jostle and rotate the jug that you put your laundry in. I want to put this idea, I want to extend upon this idea, and I want to have two poles that go out of the frame and go put them up and then outwards in the back, so to form a clothes hanger. So you can hang your clothes to dry as you're on your bike. There are a few ways that I was thinking about this, is that you can have two posts going back to make a pretty much like a V shaped. So then you can attach strings, sort of like clothesline, which there might be an issue with tension that I was thinking that might be a little hard to achieve. But another method was going to be just two posts going up and then bending at a 90-degree angle. So with hangers stationed on it that are attached to the post with big clips. So your clothes will hold on and not fall off as you're riding your bike and drying off your clothes. Now, the clothing that you might have been washing might be underwear, and you don't want everybody to see that. You might not. I mean, depending on what you have, people are sometimes a little cautious about what clothes they want people to see. So I was thinking, instead of having this where you have to be mobile and go out into public, you can have it on a stationary bike, and the bike will power a fan, which will then dry off the clothes that are hanging on the clothesline. So that is my fourth idea of the bicycle laundry and drying system. For my fifth idea is, it's not a bike accessory, it's a car accessory. So this is automatically going into the bad ideas pile. But for a car, I am always having an issue with like knowing the distance of how far I'm actually away from the bicyclists. So I would like to have a sensor in my car to be able to sense where these people are in space. So I know that I'm relatively far enough away from them to keep them safe and keep me from hitting people. I mean, I could also have a bike with a car sensor on it too. That's having a bike accessory and making that a bike accessory. So there, I was opposite thinking for that one. For my sixth idea, I would like to have a tent on top of my bicycle, almost like an aerodynamic tent with a detachable windscreen for all weather. So if it's raining out, you've got a plastic screen, and then you have pretty much like a tent going on all sides with an slightly a big long tent that goes past the back wheel. Actually, not past the back wheel, before it hits the back wheel with a back flap. So then you don't get back spray from the tire as it's going on the street. And then you are going, so you don't get hit with the back splash of the tire if the road is wet. So I'd like to have it streamlined, because if it wasn't, then it might be harder for the wind might get stuck in the tent and slow you down, especially if you want to go fast. But yeah, I would like to have an all-weather system, so you can either roll up the front windows, the windshield, if it's a nice sunny day and you like the air in your face, but you don't want the sun in your back, for those people who may not want to get sunburned. But yeah, a tent for my bike. That is my sixth idea and my last idea.
Thanks, Ajax. So for your first idea, the attachable pole that's pulled behind a bike or a motorized bike, I can't put this in the bad ideas pile because this exists. They did it for one of the Olympics, maybe Tokyo. One of the Olympics, there was a person doing pole being towed by a motorcycle. So it can't be a bad idea because it has happened before.
That's not a good idea either.
It's not a good idea because the thing I'm concerned about is safety. God forbid if there's nothing to protect you. It's just you on a pole on a platform. You could be Spider Person, but that doesn't stop a car from careening into you or anything like that. I think it would be really neat to see, like if you were doing this on like a boardwalk or a street festival.
Parade.
Yeah,
parade.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. So I'm going to put this in the ideas pile, leaning towards good if you can get some safety features involved.
I'll wear my tube.
You'll wear the inflatable tubes. Good
I'll
job.
wear my inner tubes. Yeah.
We'll see how well that works. Your idea number 2, your hand seat with positionable fingers and motorized fingers to squeeze your butt. This idea upsets me because the seat is taking my job of squeezing people's asses away from me. Who's going to be out there slapping ass if people can get their own ass action through this bicycle seat? So I'm going to have to put this in the bad ideas pile simply because it's making the population I can work with much smaller. So sorry, but bad idea.
Fine.
For your third idea, the convertible bike into a unicycle. I like this idea. I like this idea a lot. The only thing I would see that would be problematic, like you said, a unicycle, when you pedal it, you control the wheel. There's no drivetrain. There's no bike chain. It's just you pedaling that wheel. So when you convert it back to a bike, it's going to make that bike that much harder to move just because there's that extra weight. There's a reason bikes have bike chains, and it's more energy efficient for pedaling compared to just pedaling the actual one tire directly, because then you can also coast on a bicycle. You wouldn't be able to coast.
You have to lift your feet up if you're going to be coasting on a unicycle.
And there's nothing worse than getting a pedal to the shin. So I'm going to put this in the ideas pile, leaning towards good strongly with some engineering assistance. I know bikes can be foldable, they can be pulled apart. That was the other thing I didn't like, is like, if you're going to ride your unicycle, why would you want to carry parts of a bike on your back Like I could see like, okay, sometimes you want a bike, sometimes you want a unicycle, but I wouldn't want to carry the leftover parts.
I didn't want to I didn't want to like leave them somewhere.
Leave them in the car.
I didn't bring my bikes out there. And then I biked and I wanted a unicycle.
So yeah, ideas leaning towards good with help from a engineer. A laundry bike with drying rack. When you were first describing this, I immediately thought of a stationary bike. I thought it would be weird if you're just going to be like, you know what, I got to do laundry. Let me take a ride around the block real quick. And then when you're talking about your drying rack, it was confusing because I was like, well, if you're using a stationary bike to wash your clothes, you probably don't have a lot of clothes. So I would think you would just take whatever's done and just hang it on the rails that you made instead of like riding around trying to dry your clothing while they're hanging from the rails.
Two options.
So I like the laundry bike. I like the stationary bike. And I was thinking for your rails, if you just drilled holes and then you can just use clothes hangers to hang whatever you need to dry. And, you know, you can dry your pants on pant hangers and so on and so forth. So I'm going to put this in the good ideas pile for the stationary one. The rideable one, I'm going to put that in the ideas pile leaning towards bad because that seems really cumbersome to just ride around the neighborhood to wash your clothes and dry them. The sensor alert for knowing where cyclists are. I've seen this on some bikes. You can buy something that shows a light of like how much space you're supposed to give the bicycle because you're supposed to give them like so many feet on either side. So like there's these lights that project out to the sides of the bike to let the drivers know don't get closer than this far away. But yeah, no, sensors. I like the idea. I'm going to put that in a good ideas pile because it's technology that we already have with cars sensing other cars. So why can't we use it for bikes? And then the tent for bikes. So you can ride in all weather. This is going in the bad ideas pile. I feel like a good gust of wind would knock you over. You can just wear a poncho.
More places to put airbags.
I just feel like, yeah, you have a windscreen, but now you've lost all your peripheral, lost all of your side viewing. I don't like that idea at all. So that's going in the bad ideas pile, your tent. And originally when you said tent, I was like, oh, they already make tents for bikes. You can go tent backpacking with bikes. Use your bike as part of your tent structure. It's really neat. But then you're like, while you were riding, I was like, no, this is bad. So those are my pilings.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Ajax.
Alex, can you pile me? Pile me, please.
Well, that seems like not what we're talking about, but I'm going to pile your ideas.
Fine.
For your first idea of the metal pole, bike-based stage pole, bike idea thing, I have to put this in the bad ideas pile because of one thing you said during the whole explanation. You can't ride the bike or pedal the bike and be on the pole at the same time. Then it's not a bike. It is literally something to carry the pole from point A to point B. It's not an accessory. It's point A to point B. Just something that's along for the ride. So yeah, it has to go straight in the bad ideas pile for that very reason.
Got it.
You can't use it while you're biking or have some sort of purpose with the bike while it's biking. Is it really a bike accessory and not just along for the ride?
It is along for the ride. It's like a sidecar.
Yeah, it's not. No, it's not.
It's a sidecar. It's my kind of sidecar.
Okay, that's fine. And that's your prerogative. But my prerogative is to give it a bad ideas pile.
Thank you, Alex. May I have another?
Sure, the next one's going to bad. No, I'm just kidding. Your hand seat, or as I like to call it, the groper. I really hate to admit this, but I have to put in the good ideas pile only because the cupping of the hands would probably be really comfortable. Because instead of the normal bike seat where it kind of jabs up the middle, this is kind of supporting both ends. I hate to it. You have no idea how much it pains me to. I mean, you almost lost me with the grabbing. I'm not going to lie. You almost lost me with the grabbing.
I have a quick question.
What?
So the fingers are motorized.
They can be. It's an option.
Can you have them specifically motorized to possibly tickle your gooch?
The thumbs would have to tickle the gooch.
Would they, or would the pinky and the ring
Well, the
finger?
back-
I feel like depends on
forward-
how you attach the
Well,
hands.
I assume it's where you're holding like this and you're facing this way, you know, where
See, I
the,
was-
the back of the fingers are holding the back of your cheeks.
See, I was going
That's
this
what I
way.
was thinking.
I was putting.
mean, if you
pinkies
hold it-
together.
Were you putting the fingers in the front of, like, in between your
Yeah.
thighs?
That's what I'm thinking. Then the.
Why
gooch
are you
tickle.
thinking that? That
They're
seems
motor.
weird.
Okay. So they are movable fingers. So you can have your fingers any which way, and you can probably attach your hands any which way. So in that
Where
theory,
you want it.
All I'm
That's the
saying-
way you'll get it.
Yeah.
Any way you want it. Now.
I'm assuming the fingers are cupping the back of my seat, as it were.
that's how you want it.
You're
That's-
going
that's what I would think.
thumbs together instead of pinkies together.
And then, I mean, your thumbs could technically, if your thumbs were in the front, yeah, if you need to tickle the gooch that way, sure, why not?
If you have
But
your hands like
I'm just
this.
thinking of support. It's a wider seat that, you know, would caress each cheek individually. I have to put in the good ideas pile as much as it pains me.
Yes, I love
Much
painting
as
good
it
ideas
pains me.
pilings.
No, I hate it. I hate it that I actually like it, that I hate it. It's just, I hate it so much. I hate myself for like thinking it's a good idea.
Oh,
All right, so your number 3, your unicycle transformer bike that is collapsible. I have to put this one in the ideas pile because there's 2 things that I don't understand. One, the physics of how it would work if it was collapsible. There's parts of this bike that you can't collapse. Otherwise, it's not a bike. It's not really an easy bike to do. Or, as you also put it, you have to take the bike apart essentially to make it into a unicycle and then carry the rest of the bike on your back, which is super cumbersome. Even just the bike wheel itself would be super cumbersome and kind of get in the way. So, I mean, if conceptually the frame was redesigned in some way that would make it more possible, sure. But physics don't work this way, and it just was really confusing to me. Or very, like, heavy and cumbersome. So I have to put in the ideas pile. I like the concept, but in practice, I have a hard time believing it's ever going to work.
I need an engineer.
And then you've got your clothesline of bike laundry thing. So I have a question. Is this meant to be stationary or is it meant to be ridden?
See,
Like
this
a
is
actual
I
bike?
wanted because I wanted both
Yes or no?
options. It was both options. I want both of them.
Okay, if you want
Because,
both options,
like,
I will
the-
give you
the
ratings for
fan-
both options.
The fan is to power the clothesline if it's
Yep.
stationary.
Okay.
All right, so continue with both gradings then for the stationary and the on the go.
Okay. For the stationary one, I mean, it's a little bit more conceptually, it makes a lot more sense. You know, you just using a non-electrical method to wash your clothes and then essentially a drying method, but you could use traditional, just a drying clothesline method rather than some weird extendy thingy. Because you're sitting there anyways, it can't move. What's the point of having a bicycle there if it's just a clothesline that extends out when you can't move? So it kind of seems superfluous. I mean, if you're just going for a wow factor, okay, sure, why not? But it seems kind of silly besides the saving electricity part, which the bike does. The clothesline's a very old invention to add on top of it. Seems very strange. So bad ideas for that. But now let's go to the non-stationary version where you're doing your laundry on the go with this clothesline attachment to dry your clothes. Okay, number 1, first is kind of awkward with the driving one, but we're not here to talk about the laundry part. We're here to talk about the clothesline part. Number 1, if you're doing this, if you're doing the laundry, are you taking it off and putting it on while you're riding the bike around? That's unsafe.
Well,
And let's say you're
you have to
not.
get off.
So you have to get off. So you have to stop, get off, and do that. Okay, fine. So you put the laundry back on and then ride the bike while this laundry is hanging from the clothesline in your face. So at least on the sides,
No, I was thinking about dangling off the back, like having a post going towards the back.
dangling
So it's
off the back.
Yeah.
So you're off balance now.
It was a
I don't know.
V coming out of the back, so you would have
Yeah.
a similar weight on either side.
So now you're making a sail that could catch the wind and then pull your bike backwards because there's so much air resistance from the heavy clothes. So now you're doing wheelies and popping backwards. So unsafe. So
well,
again,
unfortunately, you can only have only a little bit of clothes in your washing machine
Exactly.
anyway. So
Yeah.
I mean, like just having them off the back, it's not gonna be too much of a win sale.
so yeah. So at this point, bad ideas pile for me. Both sides, bad ideas pile. Just bad
Nice.
ideas pile.
Thanks.
Now your bike sensor for cars. I think we both know this goes in the bad ideas pile because it's for cars.
I know.
It's for cars.
I know. That's why I said I
You
gave you
didn't
the
do
I
the
told you
assignment.
beforehand.
Yeah.
This was not technically a bike accessory.
Exactly. This wasn't a bad
I
accessory.
still said it anyway.
I know you
what?
did, and I appreciate the honesty, but it's still I still have to give you the grade. I still
Thank
have to
you.
give the grade.
May I have another?
Yeah, one more actually. Your all-weather bike tent. I'm gonna put this in the ideas pile because I like the concept. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to be able to ride your bike in the rain and not just be stuck with either heavy clothes or heavy rain gear, which is kind of silly. But if you're going from A to B, yeah, you're gonna look silly, but okay. You know, you're in the rain. No one's caring as much when you're in the rain. The only thing I'd be worried about is more so like visibility from the inside, especially while it's raining. Even if it's clear, when you have the rain there, you don't have wipers. So you're going to have the rain right there. So you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. So I have to put in the ideas pile because it's a good concept, but it's kind of like some concerns. But I'm going to say it's an idea.
Thanks, Alex.
You're welcome.
And speaking of thanks, we should thank our listeners.
I'm really happy you came by to listen to us today. Really happy.
I'm really happy too.
If you're also really happy and want to share this podcast with other people, you can do so on Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Anchor, wherever you can find podcasts. We have a YouTube channel that also has YouTube playlists. We have a lot of good stuff from previous seasons, so check it out there. We have a Facebook page. We also have Instagram. So if you have any related photos or fan art you want to submit, you can do so at Ideas All Day Podcast. If you have any ideas for upcoming episodes, you can email us at ideasalldaypodcast@gmail.com. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you, listeners.
Thank you, everybody, for stopping by.
Get your
Ride-
bike on.
Ride safely.
Bye.
Bye.